I'm Dr. Kimberly Manning.
And this is Dr. Ashley McMullen. And you're listening to the Human Doctor Podcast, where we explore the human side of medicine, along with teaching, living, learning, and all things in between. Using the power of storytelling, conversation, and connectedness.
Hey, we're two dope academic internal medicine doctors, but we ain't your doctors. So if you perceive anything we say here as medical advice, no, it ain't that. Also, the things we say, they only reflect our brilliant Black woman magic mind and not our employers.
You could have been anywhere, y'all, but you chose to be here with us, and we appreciate you. Let's go. I guess we can start now.
We can start after us talking for 30 minutes.
I know, right? It's like, oh, snap, we got to record. All right.
True. So it is dark in Georgia. Why? Because we fell back.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan. I
I
love
the fallback because you be getting that extra hour.
Exactly. And it surprised me this time. I was like, why is the sun already out? Did I like oversleep? And I was just like, no, it's daylight savings and it's November, the best month of the year.
Up until the last day. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, the last day is the best day.
The last day is the best day, but I love November overall. Like, it just feels like a very cozy month for me. You know, it's like towards the end of the year, you start to get like really reflective.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, the holiday is about like, it's supposed to be about like gratitude and coming together, you know, as opposed to the frenzy of, you know, gift buying.
I can see that. That works. I'll allow it.
You'll allow that? Okay.
I'll
Thank
allow
you.
it.
Thank
I'll
you.
allow it. I am very happy that we fell back over homecoming weekend.
See, that
Because
served
it
you
just
quite
gave
well.
us an extra hour to turn up. Yes. So,
I see nothing has changed from last week's freshman Kimberly on the quad with her Batman cup up until
I did not have the Batman squeeze bottle. I'll have you know.
Okay, great.
Traded that in for a red Solo cup.
Just really moving on up. Okay.
Yeah, I'm moving on up. But can I just paint a scene for you at my
Yes.
HBCU homecoming?
Please.
Let me just also I'm sorry, I gotta tell you a little bit about this. Regrettably, uh, the epidemic of gun violence hit my alma mater last year,
Mm-hmm.
and there was somebody with a gun on the campus during homecoming last year.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, one thing about HBCU homecomings, but also even majority schools that have like big games and homecomings, is that alumni and students, they move freely about on the campus. It allows, for a lot of fun to be had and everything, but not everybody on the campus that comes on the campus as a student or as an alum or as a supporter. It can sometimes be all sorts of people. Anyway, because that happened, it led to the school making a lot of safety changes in preparation, which unfortunately, with this epidemic of gun violence that we are in right now, is necessary, and I am in a unique position of being an alum of Tuskegee, but also a parent of a student there. So the alum in me is like, what's all these rules? We want to hang out. The parent in me is like, keep my scholar safe. Let's make sure that that we can have a good time and all this. So it was a real push and pull between alumni and administration. And as a result, there were people who were displeased with some of the safety changes and chose to not come this year. Now, I should also add that in addition to that, we are in the middle of a government shutdown. There are people who, like, economically had to make a decision and make a call. So and flying, some people are nervous about flying with TSA being weird. So I imagine it was multifactorial, but Tuskegee's homecoming is normally like shoulder to shoulder packed. And this year it was noticeably less people. But what that created was this intimacy this year that was so cool. Now, a uniquely special thing about our homecoming is that once you pay to come into the game, um, we actually do all the tailgating inside of the stadium. So there's all these RVs, like a whole RV village. And let me tell you who did come to homecoming.
Hmm.
The old people that get RVs. And I realize now that I have crossed into being one of the old people.
Hmm. That's
Because
okay.
I went over to the RV village where the Omegas were and where the Kappas were and where all these people were. And I was really realizing that I knew everybody. I was like, oh, these are all my people. They're like, sweetie, I don't know how to tell you this, but you old now. You one of us now. This is the area
Welcome.
where my dad and them used to be at. I'm like, wait, am I to that point yet? But yeah, I've been at Delta over 30 years. They're like, yeah, no, this is your space now. We had the best time. I
Ah,
mean, we had the best time. We were cooking out, dancing. Dougie Fresh was there playing all the music from our
mm,
era.
mm,
Everybody was turned up. It was so much fun. Um, but it was kind of tough to know that some people were really upset enough to stay away. And hopefully they come back next year. But I will tell you
hmm,
that it was really nice to be able to walk a straight line without crashing into 25 people.
hmm.
Last year it was so many people there because it was our 100th homecoming that it almost felt like anxiety producing. It was so many people. But this time it was enough people where it didn't feel empty, but it was chill. Like we had a great time and we
Ah.
won the game.
Oh,
It was a perfectly blue sky and I mean, it was just so HBCU homecoming. I mean, it
yeah.
just so was. So, I understand that we are in some crazy times and I wish, there was a time when my biggest worry during homecoming season, Ashley, was I hope it doesn't rain. That would be the main thing I would be concerned of, the weather.
Mm,
It is crazy that now my biggest hope is that no violence breaks out and that everybody's safe.
yeah.
Every time people gather, those are the times that we are in now.
Yeah.
And it was safe, it was beautiful, it was loving, and I was able to see my son hanging out with his friends. I went to the homecoming parade. I'm really getting old. You know how I really know I'm old? The really
Oh,
wait, this is how I really know I'm old. I had a baseball cap on at the game.
uh-huh.
HBCU homecomings, you dress up, you get fly. I had a camouflage Tuskegee baseball cap on, a red Letterman vest, some ripped jeans, and some flat boots. Flat. This is not me. But I've
Yeah.
gotten older. I've gotten
Ah,
older, and I was like, I don't want my feet to hurt. And I think I'm cute already, so it don't
yep.
matter.
See,
And I
aging
don't want
like fine wine.
I don't want one of these old dudes. I got a husband. I don't need y'all.
There you go. I am going to need you to bring me to Tuskegee Homecoming one of these years.
Yes, I will definitely bring you to Tuskegee's homecoming because it's something there for everybody.
Hmm.
And we have a good old time. So, and one thing, Harry came this year
Oh, nice.
and he was in the mix. He didn't even need
Yes.
me. He was just walking around. He knew all the Omegas. I was like, wow, I was going to show you around, but it looks like you already have friends. So it was good. It was
That's
good, man.
good. I love it.
So hopefully people come back and then get with the program that, we in a different time now, man. We got
Yep.
to be safe and yes, so I'm a five after all that.
Yeah.
What are you today?
I don't know. I might be getting some vicarious good energy from that story.
Hey.
I'm probably like, I don't know, 4.8, 4.9, almost there. I think seeing clips of the New York City Marathon yesterday was really fun.
Yeah.
Lots of great energy, makes me excited for my upcoming race.
Yeah, you're running
Um,
a full marathon, right?
yes, training has actually been fun. Like I've been enjoying it. And so it's just like that makes me appreciate like my body even more. So, whatever happens on race day, like I will have put in the work and I will have gained something from it. So it's been good.
Oh,
I had a long run on Saturday, like I told you, and that felt really good. And then I spent literally the rest of the day and like much of the weekend finishing the novel that I told you about, which is Baldwin, A Love Story.
Oh.
And I've been so deep in that book and just like all of the feelings that have come through. Just so beautifully written and like a courageous thing to write because, you know, on the surface, it can feel kind of like, you know, this kind of superficial like lens, just exploring all these relationships, but it really is such a beautiful journey through Baldwin's work, and a homage to, you know, how much he suffered for the sake of his authenticity
Mm.
and how much of that actually showed up in his work. And so as I've been reading it, I've gone back and listened to Giovanni's Room and, you know, Go Tell It on the Mountain and some of his nonfiction works. And it's just like, you know, it adds so much more breadth and dimension knowing who he was at the time of, you know, these pieces. And so I'm really excited to actually hear the author come speak in Oakland this week. It's like, you know, another plug for how much I love living in Oakland. There's so much here.
Okay.
And it's nice to not have to go far to find a lot of spaces and people that I love.
Yeah, we love us a good read, don't we? But kings, queens, non-binary royalty. Let me tell you what else we love. We love us a good story. And I, in particular, love us a good story when I don't have to tell it. And I just get to listen. And
Oh,
seeing as I was on that red solo cut this weekend, but I promise I wasn't driving, y'all.
uh-huh.
Um, and I wasn't a puppet on a string.
No, good. The,
I
the
was just
lessons are still
happy.
there.
The
Yes.
lessons are still there. I was just feeling the vibe.
Mhm.
But I do feel very much ready to be a spectator and not the person telling y'all the story. So with all of that run up and time and drum roll,
Mm.
Dr. McMullen, what is the what?
Coach.
Coach?
Coach. You know, like put me in coach or
Oh,
like,
coach. Okay. Okay. Okay, coach. I like it.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, I like coach. Put me in
Coach.
coach. We ain't never used coach.
Not the brand either. Just straight up
Yeah.
coach. So yeah, this is a story that occurred several years ago. So I think you and I both have this excellent part of our job that involves, you know, being a small group leader or a coach for medical students. It entails, you know, at least at UCSF, it entails being very invested in a small group of students from the day they set foot on campus until they graduate.
Hmm.
You know, in addition to patient care, I think that this is the thing that brings me so much joy, especially as I've been doing it over time. But when I was first getting started in the role, it took me a while to kind of decide if I wanted to do it. It is a very big commitment. It takes a lot of time and meaningful investment, and especially with the students in their first kind of like 1 to 2 years before they go on to hospital rotations or clerkship rotations. And so we ended up meeting with them like every week. You know, I kind of knew from the beginning that it was something that I kind of wanted to do. I didn't have that experience as a medical student, but, you know, as a chief resident and kind of like early on in faculty, I did a lot of small group teaching. I would like cover for other coaches or other educators. And I found that it was something that I felt good at. Like it was something that felt natural, I should say. And so by the time it rolled around for me to kind of take on like my very first group of medical students, I was just like, I'm ready. So when the students arrive on campus, they have a lot of orientation, you know, getting used to where things are physically located, what the curriculum is going to be like, kind of what to expect, and also just grounding in, you know, this 4+ year journey that they're about to embark on. And part of that orientation involves something that UCSF has been doing the last couple of years called Differences Matter,
Okay.
which is 2 half days of conference where you step into the awareness of what it means to be both caring for and working among people who are different from you. And so it involves a lot of work on communication, work on empathy. And this is also the time in which coaches first meet their coaching group. And we facilitate some of the small group sessions centered around just like identity and who we are and what we bring to the space. And so I'm getting ready to work with my group of students. I come to meet them. And again, I realized like, oh, they are all like very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of them come from wealthy backgrounds, some of them not so privileged, some are really outspoken, some are very, very, very quiet. And here's me, you know, day one, trying to figure out how I'm going to lead this group. And so one of our first sessions, I'm talking a little bit about myself and about the clinic where I work, which is where I'm going to have the students with me, also seeing patients. And we're talking a little bit about some of the core values at UCSF that we apply here in terms of thinking through pronouns and identity and how we respect those things. One of the students brings up at one point this question of, why are we learning this?
Oof.
What does this have to do with patient care? And I'm paraphrasing here, but it was very much the energy of just like, why are we not just focusing on the science? Like, what does this have to do with anything? And the tone, you know, felt very jarring to me. Like I really was not expecting it. It made the space feel kind of awkward. I felt like the eyes of the other students were on me in terms of how I was going to respond. And so I tried my best to not make it as big a deal, but just to gently prod or just like, well, you know, it matters because it matters to our patients. You know, we kind of got to an agreement on that, but it left kind of a difficult energy afterwards. Like I did not leave that session feeling good. In fact, I was very, very worried.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I actually ended up reaching out to one of my mentors who is a leader in this whole orientation. And I just sent her a text. I was just like, hey, I want to talk to you whenever you have a second. And she was like, I can get on a Zoom call with you soon. She knew it was my first year doing this. Mm-hmm. And she showed up, you know, immediately. I got on a call with her and I just burst into tears. Mm-hmm. I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. These students seem to have like very different needs. Like, you know, I have this one student who's kind of coming at me in this way. I'm feeling a little insecure about this. Mm-hmm. She gave me some advice and some reassurance. And we got through the second day of orientation, like, you know, still a little awkward, but no issues. A couple weeks after that, not too long after that, we were actually in my clinic. And we were working on a quality improvement project. We were just getting started on it. And so as I'm leading the students to kind of get started on this project, one of the things that we needed to do was just have a quick small group session talking a little bit about health disparities. And, you know, I just wanted to briefly make a couple points around how and why health disparities exist with like some very, you know, objective data to back it up and citing a few of these papers within that context. And basically just highlighting like, this is something that we need to think about as we move forward on this project.
Right.
And so the same student immediately starts wanting to pick apart the studies and really kind of pushing back on this concept that there are social factors behind some of these real health disparities. It became awkward very quick. And this time I would say that my response was definitely getting irritated. Right. What was happening for me in that moment was I was feeling like maybe I'm not the best coach for this student. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I was really feeling a lot of the imposter vibes where it's just like, well, maybe what the student needs is a male coach or like someone more senior who the student will respect a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. You know, I was kind of surprised by where my mind was going with this. And so I ended up reaching out again, this time to Calvin. Mm-hmm. Calvin. And my supervisor, who I also love, Dr. Jeff Colas, who's the head of DGIM. I ended up sitting with them and like kind of expressing a lot of what had been going on and what I was feeling, including kind of this insecurity around like, maybe I'm not the best coach for this student. And their response, both of them said this in different ways, was just like, you are exactly who this student needs. Mm. The other thing that I realized was, particularly as an educator, like in a position of power, it can be easy to dismiss folks you don't like or just like trainees who kind of get under your skin. But in this case, I was just like, I have at least a year and a half
Mm,
that I'm going to be with this student. I have to figure out how to love them.
mm,
It's not just about tolerating or like correcting behavior. Like, I need to figure out how to love this student.
right.
And so I ended up adding a few more like one-on-one meetings. Like, I did it for everybody, but I specifically wanted to have more one-on-one time with this student. This is after I had reflected on myself a little bit so that I could approach the conversation a little bit more honestly
Mhm,
and just kind of say like, hey, when you brought this up in this way in our small group, like this is how it landed for me.
mhm,
I asked a little bit more about their background because one of the things also is just like, this is a student who I believe had their pick of many medical schools.
mhm.
And UCSF, is an institution that is very vocal about kind of what it stands for in terms of
Yeah.
inclusivity and belonging. And so I was able to ask them a little bit more. I was like, what actually was it about UCSF that made you want to come here? It actually blew me away how empathetic and meaningful it was, their response.
Mm,
And then I got to learn a little bit more about them, how they grew up, and the environment where they were working before medical school, where that kind of aggressive pushback was actually like rewarded. And so, in their mind, like that's the type of approach you needed to have in order to succeed in medicine.
mm,
And so, we were able to kind of talk through that a little bit more. And then over time, what also happened was that I got to see the students have healthy debates around certain topics as they came up. And I could kind of take a step back, allow them to kind of, push each other a little bit while also like having the type of environment where we could respect each other's differences. And that was really special to see, especially the arc of that growth over time.
mhm.
I got to see that student kind of soften a little bit, especially
Right.
as we spent time in clinic together. And then I also learned a lot about myself in that process in terms of like what it means to really welcome all
Mm,
opinions and all people in these spaces. Like that is our job.
yep.
I have this one small moment that feels so special in my mind. Probably wasn't a big deal to the student, but we had wrapped up one of our small groups. I was actually trying to rush through lunch because I had another group I had to prepare for. And so I was in the cafeteria at our university hospital, and I was just going to grab some stuff and go. And as I'm walking out, I see that same student sitting by themselves at a table. And they look up at me and they're just like, hey, do you want to sit and eat lunch with me?
Mm,
And we sat together that whole hour. It felt like we were seeing each other, and it just felt easy and fun and loving. Like I realized how much I loved the student,
mm,
and it just felt so gratifying considering where things started, and just that easy kind of open invitation, just like come sit with me. Fast forward to the end of pre-clerkship time, the group is amazing. It's hard to see them go. I mean, obviously it's my first group, so they'll be etched in my memory forever. But it was a great learning experience for me in terms of all of my growth edges as an educator and a clinician, and also like what it really means to be a coach, which is not to have all the answers or like show out, but really kind of show up and create space for people to bring their best selves.
I love that. I love that. Like a full circle moment.
Yeah, and I love it
Um,
when a circle comes together.
yeah, I like that a lot. I think what I'm sticking a pin in is this what it means to be truly inclusive. Um, because the truth is that, including people is about including different ways of thinking too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you are in environments that are, you know, mostly liberal or mostly conservative or mostly whatever, the people who tend to sort of harp on it being inclusive tend to be more liberal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there are opportunities sometimes for us to hold space for people who may not see things exactly as we do. Um, at 1 year at the double AMC meeting, the Association of American Medical Colleges meeting, there was this fireside chat that Cornell West had along with a guy who was actually his friend, but is a known conservative person.
Mm.
And the two of them were talking. And one thing that Cornel West said that kind of stuck with me and many others is when they're talking to each other, he approaches their conversations um, by asking himself, what if I'm wrong?
Hmm.
And what if you could potentially tell me something um, that could alter the way that I think? Let me not listen to just, counter what you said.
Yep. Yep.
Let me listen to hear what you're saying, put it in the context of who you are, your lived experiences, and not let my own urgency stop me from, just being able to hear anything or hear any other perspective other than mine. And, I do think that like when you come from a background where historically there have been atrocities, that have happened through generations, this whole like pausing to like hear anything somebody has to say other than I'm on your side. I'm sorry
Hmm.
for this happening to y'all.
Yep.
Um, you don't even you're not even here for none of that.
Yep.
But and I am not saying that after listening to you, I'm going to agree with you. But I would like you to be able to come to work and do your job and think how you think. I would like to believe that even a person who's questioning, who cares about, somebody being included in differences between who cares? Why don't just please teach me Krebs cycle and let
Yes.
um um I imagine that there are things that matter very much to them, that
Hmm.
people that they care about very much and things that they feel urgency about too. Um, so I need to hold a space with you
Hmm.
for that. Doesn't mean we have to even agree. And why shouldn't I model what it is I want you to do, which is coexist with me, even if you don't like fully see things the same way I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's tough. You did say something. You said I was feeling imposter syndrome. You've heard me say this before, but I'm kind of like not so sure about that now.
Hmm.
I'm like I think what it was is there was something that was creating an insecurity in you with this person,
Hmm.
but I'm not so sure you thought that you shouldn't coach students. I mean, I think you probably thought this particular student might need somebody who has uh ideology concordance
There we
with
go.
them.
Yes.
And I ain't that person, but I don't mean I'm an imposter, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I think, I was thinking that as I was saying it, it was just sometimes for lack of better terms.
Yeah,
But I think what I was feeling was just like, kind of a diminishment of my psychological size.
correct,
I'm,
correct.
I'm feeling all the things that, I'm not supposed to be as a clinician, an openly gay, black, natural haired woman,
Yeah. Who's
it's
on the young side. So
and
so that's the
younger
other thing. Like
looking.
you
Yeah.
coming for me too. Like,
Hmm.
that so like there has to be the thing where somebody says something and you're like, would you be coming for me like this
Exactly.
if I was now, even in my role as a leader, I've had situations happen where somebody says something to me and I know they're coming for me because I'm a woman and
Exactly.
I just know. I just know. I know they
Hmm.
are.
Yeah.
Even if they aren't like diabolically rubbing their hands together saying, "Wah ha ha, I am being racist and sexist." No, I think that people even like implicitly do things
Hmm.
where they feel like this person right here can be tried and
Yeah.
disrespected.
Yep.
This person right here represents authority. And
Hmm.
so I need to, tighten up my tie and stand up straight for them.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what it was,
Yeah.
whatever the word is for that. That's what I was feeling. And part of it was just like, maybe the student isn't gonna hear these things coming from me.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe it's not gonna, it's not gonna land in the same kind of authoritative way if it didn't come from, a tall white man.
Let me ask you a question. So time has passed, you've learned more and you've reflected on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would you do differently if you found yourself in that exact same situation again? Because I mean, I don't know how to break it to you, but you do still look young, and you still are a Black woman who's
Yeah.
openly gay.
Yeah, it turns out
That ain't
nothing has
changed.
changed. But I think my mindset has changed. I think I mean, part of it is just like, the benefit of time and experience.
Mhm.
But I think what I found, especially through going through that first cycle with that group, is that my strength is actually in my differences.
Mm.
My power comes from my authenticity. And that's what I bring to this space. And that's what my students get to see.
Well, your students are very lucky to have you,
Thank you.
and it's good that you created a space where a student could actually, I don't know, be a little contrary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron, man.
Iron sharpens iron. I'm glad that I had that experience. I'm really glad.
Yeah,
And it's also cool to see myself as the type of coach and educator I would have loved to have had when
yeah.
I was a first year student.
Hmm. And why is this important? Because sometimes, even in this time of a lot of things changing with programming that helps people examine differences and add some heterogeneity to environments.
Yeah, well said. Yes.
Um, I think it creates an opportunity for you to be like, what do I need to be doing? Why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
Why is this matter? And what if something about what you're saying could make me think about this more carefully and discover an area where I could look at this differently?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the way I look at it could be even better and could help me do even more of what I was trying to do all along. Um, and it may not feel like that to people, but sometimes, out of things that feel like uncomfortable and adverse, um, you in a zone of development that could actually dramatically change something and make it better.
Mm, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, on that note, happy November.
Yes.
I can't wait to start pulling out my holiday decorations.
You can do it now. It's
I kind
not
of
too early.
can. I
Yeah.
kind of can, but I think I will get divorced if I bring anything with a holly berry on it downstairs um, before Thanksgiving. But
Fair. Okay.
all right, sis. I
All
love
right.
you.
Love you too.
Holla.
That wraps up this week's episode of the Human Doctor Podcast.
Special thanks to our favorite brother gastroenterologist, Dr. Chuma Obiname, for the beats. Shout out to the Dr. Ashley McMullen for editing and production.
Mad love to our podcast family at The Nocturnist and the Clinical Problem Solvers, our Med Twitter fam.
And especially shout out to all of you, our listeners.
Until next week, remember,
we see you and you are enough. Holla!